Koshi is a useless, ugly student, even he always assisting teachers with whatever they need. But the problem is that absolutely no one at school wants to talk to him. Because of this, Koshi's constantly comparing himself to the student council president Mine, who's super popular and has tons of friends at school. What Koshi doesn't realize, though, is that Mine has actually been secretly watching him this whole time. One day, while Koshi's alone, he gets completely shocked when he accidentally sees Mine changing clothes in the sports equipment storage room. His self-control nearly crumbles when he hears the sounds of Mine changing her underwear. Later, back in class, Koshi starts paying more attention to Mine, who has this beautiful appearance befitting a student council president. Shortly after, exam paper distribution is about to begin. But when Mine goes up to get her test results, the whole classroom suddenly goes silent because Mine didn't get her usual perfect 100 score. Then out of nowhere, Mine suddenly takes off her underwear, which completely shocks Koshi. But weirdly, after she does this, the paper distribution starts over again from the beginning. This makes Koshi feel really confused about what just happened. Because of this strange feeling, Koshi decides to meet with Mine and tells her that he accidentally saw her fail to get 100 for the first time. After hearing what Koshi said, Mine immediately asks if Koshi saw her in the sports storage room earlier. After admitting his mistake, Mine invites Koshi to get drinks together. But Koshi, who panics easily, accidentally spills his glass of water in front of Mine. When Mine wants to change her clothes, surprisingly, time reverses back to a few seconds earlier when Koshi was about to spill the water. Before explaining to Koshi, Mine tells him to clean his shirt first. Then Mine asks if Koshi has realized what's happening right now. Since Koshi still doesn't understand, Mine explains that she actually has a special ability that can reverse time whenever she takes off her underwear. However, this power has a drawback where after removing her underwear to reverse time, both pieces of her underwear will immediately disappear. And it's revealed that all this time, Mine has been using her power to get good grades. Whenever an answer she wrote is wrong, Mine will immediately reverse time to a few days earlier to fix that answer. Hearing this makes Koshi a bit annoyed at Mine because she's basically been cheating to become number one at their school. Ever since 5th grade, Mine has been getting many awards using her time reversal power. Mine admits that without this time manipulation ability, she probably wouldn't be able to become number one at their school and get perfect scores. But it turns out the reason Mine is revealing her secret now is to make Koshi her subordinate, whose job will be to carry Mine's spare underwear every day. Since Mine's request is completely unreasonable, Koshi immediately rejects the offer and says goodbye to Mine that afternoon. Seeing Koshi reject her, Mine suddenly pulls Koshi and creates a scene, making it look like Koshi was trying to assault her. If Koshi doesn't accept the offer, he'll be arrested by the police for this false accusation Mine made. Not wanting his future to be ruined, Koshi eventually accepts Mine's offer. Using her power, Mine reverses time and saves Koshi from that accusation. After that, Mine explains that Koshi must change Mine's underwear every time Mine uses her power. Even when class is in session, Koshi still has to change it if Mine asks. As a start, Mine tells Koshi to put on her underwear right now. To avoid being tempted by Mine's beauty, poor Koshi closes his eyes as tightly as possible. Seeing Koshi's seriousness, Mine says that Koshi is still the same as before, and now, Koshi's new life has just begun. The next day, Koshi dreams about yesterday's incident when Mine appointed Koshi to become her subordinate. But when he wakes up that morning, Koshi surprisingly receives a revealing photo from Mine, which immediately makes his sleepiness disappear. All the students at school start feeling jealous when they see Mine inviting Koshi to enter class together. That morning, Mine wants to give some of her spare underwear that Koshi needs to carry every day. Mine even bought dozens of pairs of underwear with different patterns. After that, Mine emphasizes again that after she uses her time power, Koshi must immediately change it right then. If Koshi refuses, then Mine will create another scene to ruin Koshi's future. Because if Koshi doesn't immediately change her underwear, then Mine will feel very embarrassed if other students accidentally see her situation.
After that, Mine says that Koshi is actually someone who's very difficult to manipulate.
When class time starts, Koshi starts worrying about how to change Mine's underwear if Mine suddenly uses her power in the middle of an ongoing lesson. But then, after being asked to read a poem by the teacher, Mine uses her power again when there's a gust of wind. When Mine rereads the poem in the middle of the cool breeze, suddenly the classroom atmosphere completely changes like what's in Mine's poem. Seeing Mine use her power just for something trivial makes Koshi very shocked and amazed at Mine's personality that wants to look perfect in everyone's eyes. According to their agreement, now Koshi has to change Mine's underwear in the middle of the tense classroom atmosphere. Even though Koshi initially wants to refuse, because he doesn't want to be falsely accused by Mine again, he reluctantly has to do it. Slowly, Koshi starts thinking of a way to change Mine's underwear without getting caught by all his classmates. Using the excuse of a dropped eraser, Koshi slowly starts changing Mine's underwear very carefully. Because if he gets caught even a little by his classmates, Koshi will definitely become the subject of ridicule until graduation. After successfully doing it, Koshi breathes a sigh of relief. But a few minutes later, Koshi realizes that the underwear he put on is still loose and not properly fitted. If Koshi doesn't fix it, all the students in their class will see quite a view. At the same time, Koshi gets a bit annoyed because Mine won't pull up her own underwear. To avoid being caught by all the students, Koshi decides to just take Mine's exam paper so Mine doesn't need to get up from her seat. But when Koshi wants to leave, Mine says that Koshi has to put it on properly. But because he's panicking, Koshi accidentally touches Mine inappropriately. Because of the incident that afternoon, Koshi immediately complains about Mine's selfish behavior. But after seeing Koshi's courage in class earlier, Mine asks if Koshi was afraid that other people would see her underwear. Hearing this makes Koshi immediately very embarrassed and flustered with Mine. One day after collecting all the assignments, Koshi starts to admire Mine's hard work. But strangely, after getting praise from some people, Mine uses her power again, just because Mine wants to make Koshi help her. Because of this simple thing, now Koshi has to put on Mine's underwear again. When Mine and Koshi want to carry all the assignment papers, some students come who want to help Mine with her work. Seeing this makes Koshi a bit jealous of Mine. Then Mine says that the reason she wants to become very popular is to become a great student council president. Mine even says she's memorized all the names of students at their school. To become a good student council president, Mine has to memorize all the names of people at school. Again, Mine's words make Koshi very impressed with her. Not only that, Mine even knows everything about Koshi, including that Koshi is someone who's pretty perverted. When Koshi is about to deny Mine's statement, Mine quickly starts teasing Koshi to prove that Koshi likes perverted things. But right after joking around with Koshi, Koshi faints. When he comes to, Mine explains that Koshi fainted after falling from a fairly high ladder. Then Koshi explains to Mine that his body condition has always been very weak. Hearing this, Mine immediately gives Koshi hard training so Koshi's knees can be filled and not be weak again. Unfortunately, even though Mine gave several tips, Koshi still fails to do those exercises. For Koshi to develop more, Mine even has to use her time reversal power to make Koshi learn from his previous mistakes. Even though it's very difficult at first, thanks to Mine's support and power assistance, Koshi becomes more enthusiastic about breaking his new running record. As usual, after using her time power, Koshi has to immediately change Mine's underwear. But after doing hard training that day, Koshi realizes he forgot to return the bag with Mine's clean underwear. And the situation gets worse when Mine says she wants to go outside without wearing underwear.
So people won't see Mine's situation, panicked, Koshi decides to immediately look for Mine that night. Meanwhile, on the other side, when Mine is sitting alone, Koshi arrives bringing Mine's underwear. Seeing Koshi, who cares so much about her, Mine then asks if Koshi would feel jealous if other people saw her in that state. Hearing Koshi's answer immediately makes Mine very flustered with Koshi that night. Because Koshi worked so hard for her, Mine immediately thanks Koshi, which also makes Koshi very flustered with Mine. One day, all the students at school are very amazed by Mine's ability to swim very skillfully. But strangely, Mine uses her power again and repeats the swimming practice because Mine wants to do a new style that's more attention-grabbing than the previous style. After practicing that morning, Mine immediately asked Koshi why Koshi didn't ask the reason Mine reversed time. Since Koshi doesn't want to answer, Mine asks again about which swimming style Koshi likes. According to a true man's answer, Koshi answers that the best swimming style is backstroke. After that, Mine reveals a fact that she's actually not wearing underwear right now, which, of course, makes Koshi very embarrassed and flustered with Mine. When it's time to go home, Mine immediately invites Koshi to buy some additional underwear. But because Koshi is a guy, it makes Koshi very embarrassed being there. The situation becomes very tense when Mine tells Koshi to put on the new underwear they just bought. Even though Koshi feels very tense at first, he eventually succeeds in putting on the new underwear. After that, Mine asks about the reason Koshi chose blue for Mine's underwear. Because Mine insists, Koshi answers that the color makes him remember his childhood memories of often playing under the blue sky. After hearing that answer, Mine acts strangely without any clear reason. The next day after school time arrives, Mine decides to stop by Kushi's house after seeing Kushi's very lethargic condition that day. When they get there, Mine is quite surprised to see Kushi's room, which is very clean and tidy. Since Kushi is currently sick, caring, Mine decides to make some delicious food for Kushi. Hearing this makes Kushi start thinking inappropriate things about Mine. But after making some delicious food for Kushi, Mine says she'll continue taking care of Kushi after Kushi finishes eating. When seeing all that food, Kushi feels that Mine has done many good things for him. After that, surprisingly, Mine wants to sleep next to Kushi with the goal of making Kushi warm from the cold atmosphere. For the first time, Kushi can experience heaven where the most beautiful girl at his school is currently trying to take care of him. In the middle of the tense atmosphere, Mine slowly tries to make Kushi remember something he might have forgotten. After that, Mine says when two skins touch it, will produce a hormone that will help Kushi quickly recover from the summer fever. Sure enough, thanks to Mine's hug that afternoon, Kushi's condition starts to improve a bit from before. When evening approaches, Mine, who's going home passing through a road, remembers her childhood memories of often being avoided by her friends. But among all of them who avoided her, there's one kid who still wanted to play with her, along with a black cat. On the other side, when Kushi wakes up at night, he's very touched that Mine still had time to make one last meal for Kushi. One day when going to school together, curious Mine immediately asks about Kushi's assignments and also current exam scores. Seeing Kushi's very low scores makes Mine feel a bit sorry for Kushi. When class time starts, Mine starts showing her intelligence, which makes everyone very amazed at her. What they don't realize is that all the scores Mine got so far are cheating she obtained from her power. But it turns out Mine will run out of a lot of energy if she uses her power too much. Even though the risk Mine receives is very big, Mine still has to do it to become number one at their school. But it turns out the real reason Mine wants to use all her power that day is to help Kushi get good scores. Unfortunately, Kushi never realizes this and never learns from his mistakes. Because she's fed up with Kushi, Mine says she won't use her time reversal power anymore and will let Kushi try on his own to get good scores. When it's time to go home, Mine, who still cares about Koshi, decides to give Koshi lessons at her house. For the first time, Kushi has to focus on studying at the most beautiful girl's house at his school. So the atmosphere doesn't become tense, Mine decides to make a glass of coffee for them. In the middle of the quiet house atmosphere, Mine says she has a pet cat that she found when she was in elementary school. Seeing Koshi curious about the cat, Mine immediately tells Kushi to wait a moment. But instead of bringing her cat, Mine cosplays as a cat girl to make Koshi more enthusiastic. But instead of enthusiasm, Kushi has to try to hold back his rising excitement. Seeing Koshi's stressed face, Mine immediately apologizes for making Koshi unable to focus on studying. But when he wants to go home, heavy rain suddenly arrives, making Koshi have to wait longer to go home. In the middle of the heavy rain, strange footstep sounds come, which turn out to be from Mine's cat. When Kushi is already happy with the cat, Mine freezes when a power outage occurs. Then Mine says the cat is the one she found when she was in elementary school. At the same time, Mine asks again about Kushi's childhood a few years ago. Since Kushi is someone very forgetful, Koshi can't remember all his childhood memories. But then Kushi asks Mine for a towel due to the increasingly hot atmosphere. But instead of giving a towel, Mine uses the last towel she has and decides to go to sleep right then. At the same time, Kushi starts to remember a childhood memory when there was a little girl who confessed her feelings to Kushi. But because Koshi was still young at that time, Kushi couldn't answer that girl's feelings. Since that day, the little girl disappeared somewhere. But Koshi promises that someday he'll find that girl. What Koshi doesn't realize is that the girl in front of him is the little girl Kushi is currently looking for, shortly after the house lights come back on. But because the atmosphere is getting colder, hungry Mine decides to make some food for them. Before leaving, Mine invites Kushi to play a game where they both have to act like a newlywed couple. If Koshi fails even once, then Kushi has to accept a punishment of being single for life. Slowly, Mine starts making delicious food for them. Meanwhile, Kushi has to do romantic things like a good husband. As a good wife, Mine starts treating Kushi with affection as a wife, which of course makes Koshi very flustered with her. After dinner is finished like a newlywed couple, Mine immediately goes in and invites Koshi to get intimate. In short, a few days pass, and now Mine and Kushi will go see the fireworks festival to welcome the beautiful summer. Since they're already there, Mine immediately invites Koshi to try everything at that festival. But because the atmosphere is getting crowded, Mine has to use her time reversal power. After putting on her underwear, they continue walking to find interesting places at the festival. But because she doesn't want to use more time, Mine immediately uses her power again. Every time they arrive at some places, Mine will reverse time to a few minutes later when they first met so they don't need to walk much further to go to other places. But when the day gets later, Kushi's self-control gets more tested when seeing all the couples there start having intimate moments. After reversing time several times, they finally find a place that's very suitable for being alone together. In the middle of the increasingly tense atmosphere, some fireworks appear that start decorating the sky. Even though Kushi still hasn't realized that Mine is his childhood friend, Mine still feels happy because she can meet Kushi again. Will Kushi eventually find out that Mine is his missing childhood friend? Alright guys, so that's the discussion for this video, and if you don't understand the story yet, this anime tells about a young man who accidentally enters into a contract relationship after accidentally seeing something inappropriate from a girl named Mine. Every day, Kushi has to become Mine's subordinate and will always change Mine's underwear every time Mine uses her time manipulation power. But as the story progresses, we're given a fact that Mine and Kushi actually met before when they were in elementary school. At one point, Mine confessed her feelings to young Kushi. But because Kushi was still very innocent, he couldn't answer Mine's feelings. When entering high school, they both end up meeting again. But the only one who remembers their childhood memories is Mine alone. Meanwhile, Kushi has forgotten those memories. Thanks for watching. Stay locked in on anirecap God to see what goes down next.